Let's make a McDonald's McRib slider done my way. The interesting thing about this particular slider is I use pork butt. Let's go. The first thing that I do before I cut any meats with my knife, I'm using Flint and Flame chef knife, one of my favorite knives in my favorite knife company. And I only sharpen my knives one time per year because I use a honer before every time that I use it to cut meat or chop something. So we're just gonna hone the blade real quick. All right, now we're good till next use. So we're gonna start with a pork butt. And what I'm gonna do is cut this into little rectangle pieces so that we could mimic a McDonald's McRib to go on a little King's Hawaiian slider. So let's get to that process. We're gonna start cutting up this meat as best as possible, and this is a bone-in pork butt. And usually when you're dealing with a bone-in pork butt and you're making burnt ends out of it, it's best to try to get the bone out first. And it's not an easy process. I've done it a few times. So just run your knife and just try your best to follow the bone. It's not easy. You can see how I've got some really good separation right there. All right, so just keep running your knife along the inside. If you're gonna use pork butt for your burnt ends, it's really best, in my opinion, to remove that bone first. This is the tough part where you've got this part of the bone. You have to really just get your knife and run it on the inside so that you're almost poking through in the back. And just kind of feel your way around that bone. And you're basically cutting on and around the top part of that bone. See that right there? It's a little hard to maneuver through that, but you can do it. All right, we're further along. You can see the separation that we've got on that bone. Let's see if we can get it completely disconnected now. All right, so we're almost there. We're on the back side of the pork butt instead of the inside where we were working. So take your knife and once again, follow along the bone. And the reason I'm doing it this way because I want it to be intact as much as possible. And you can see we've got it almost separated, so we're just gonna simply cut it away. And there's that pork bone. And there's minimal meat left on that. See? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these in order to fit these little King's Hawaiian sliders. We don't want them too long or too wide. We want them to fit perfectly on that slider. So this is the first time I've ever done this, so we're just gonna experiment together. All right, so we're gonna cut them thick enough to where they're nice and meaty. And so you can see right there, that's the actual cut of meat. And we want to be able to have a nice cut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this in half. All right, and then I'm gonna form my little slider piece of meat. That looks big, but you gotta remember a lot of that's gonna render down. Cut a few more. Look at that, that just looks beautiful. Now let's go ahead and cut 10 more of these, and then we're gonna get them seasoned up and on the pellet grill. Next step, I'm simply gonna season the meat, and I'm using a double action seasoning from a friend of mine. He's local right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And let's just simply get them all seasoned up. Be very generous with that rub. Probably gonna use the whole bottle. By the way, I have 14 instead of 12. You know, you gotta snack on these while you're waiting on them to cook. All right, season the other side, then we're gonna put them right on the pellet grill. All right, we're gonna be using a Coyote pellet grill, and here is where we load our pellets. And today I'm gonna be using Naughty Wood almond pellets. Love the flavor, great quality pellet. You should give them a look. Close it up, close the lid, and let's get it turned on. All right, next step is we're simply just gonna get it loaded on the pellet grill. And they're not gonna be perfectly uniform pieces of meat, so don't fret over that. Now let's make our burnt end sauce or our McRib barbecue sauce. So we're gonna start with some of my barbecue sauce, maple syrup, Filipino ketchup, down with my barbecue sauce. You can get this, by the way, on my website at cookitwithtim.com. Maple syrup, 1/3 of a cup. Filipino banana ketchup, 1/3 of a cup. It just don't want to come out. Oop. Good stuff. Just gonna bring that to a simmering boil. Then we're gonna pour this over the pork McRib burnt in things. All right, so let's take our homemade barbecue sauce. Well, my barbecue sauce with some other ingredients. Just pour that on top of the pork. Yeah, I know you see the little chunks of the banana ketchup. Don't worry about it. It'll dissolve. Just mix that around a little bit. Make sure it's really happy, meaning it's coated very well. It's gonna be one of the better tasting McRib sliders I think you've ever had. Put a lid on it. Back on the pellet grill for 1 hour, covered. We're gonna remove the lid. Look at that. My goodness. All right, back on for a half hour. King's Hawaiian slider buns. And really not gonna do anything to them, and I'm not gonna toast them, just because I want the natural sweetness of the bun without any butter, because we got plenty of fat within the pork itself. There's no need to toast them. All right, we're just gonna cut them in half with a serrated blade. See that right there? And they just tear apart, just like that. All right, we're gonna stack these so that we can build our sliders. Just pull those off the grill. All right, let's go ahead and build those sandwiches. So to balance out the sweetness, what we're gonna do is take a little bit of pickled red onions. Let's put a lid on those bad boys. So I only made 6 sliders because I just felt like 12 was too many for me to eat. One thing that I did was I topped them with just a little bit more of that barbecue sauce that they cooked in, topped them with some pickled sweet red onions. Now let's give it a try. Of course, the balance is perfect. You've got lots of meat, just as if you were going to McDonald's and getting a McRib sandwich. More meat than bun. All right, let's give that a try. McDonald's who? That's fantastic, man. I like the balance of the red onion. Kind of balances out all that sweet and the fat. That's really good.